Looking back on it, I can now see how the right ingredients were in place for me to become a pantheist. Putting aside countless other variables like my genetic predisposition, my public education, my social upbringing, my long hours of contemplation, and many other environmental factors, my parents knowingly as well as unknowingly provided me with the right conditions. My mother was the more logical, scientific, and pragmatic one, though she has always had a big heart, whereas my father was the more spiritual, poetic, and philosophical one, though he has always had a strong practical side too. You may notice that between the two they balance each other out quite nicely, and since I am a fusion of the two, I think it gave me a very balanced view. I have a huge appreciation for science and the scientific method, which has helped me to see the mathematical and mechanical side of the universe, but I am also a right-side thinker, an artist at heart, with a strong appreciation for literature, art, and philosophy. I think my artistic side has given me the ability to step back and see the bigger picture, and not get lost in the numbers or the details, so to speak. So it's no surprise that pantheism, as I'm sure most would agree, is very much a balance between theism and atheism. It is the missing link that is needed. As I mentioned earlier, my father did eventually adopt some of the views I've discussed. Being an avid reader, he came across a book titled The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He immediately fell in love with it, and around 2007 he read another popular book by Tolle titled A New Earth, where Tolle mentioned some of the ideas regarding oneness with the universe and the identification of oneself as God. Since my father greatly respected Tolle's writings, he was able to take in and understand these views of the universe and of the self more readily. As a result, he has now moved beyond the traditional views of Christianity. Not to imply he no longer views himself as a Christian, just that he now has an expanded view of God and a better understanding of Jesus, thanks to Tolle's writings, which carefully weaves the classic Eastern ideas of the now, of presence, of being, and ancient Greek Stoicism with Christianity. I don't agree with all of Eckhart Tolle's views, but I think he has helped to comfort many readers who may have felt spiritually lost. He has also helped to awaken them and has placed them on the road towards truth, so I tip my hat to him. Even though I stopped believing in the Christian religion long ago, and though I know Christianity has its downsides and can even prove to be harmful at times, I still continue to have a lot of respect and appreciation for many of its teachings, like thou shalt not kill, of course, or thou shalt not bear false witness, or thou shalt not steal. And even though I view Jesus to be no more or less than a human being, I think he was one of the greatest philosophical teachers and spiritual guides in our history. I think many of his teachings reveal timeless truths about life. And I think he spoke many words of wisdom like love thy neighbor, forgive those who trespass against you, do not cast your pearls before swine, and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's important to note, though, these same expressions can essentially be found in most other reputable religions, only expressed a little differently. Now, according to the Bible, he performed a lot of miracles like healing the sick, turning water into wine, feeding a multitude with a couple of fish and a few loaves of bread, and rising from the dead. All pretty neat, but I prefer to focus more on the words Jesus reportedly spoke, and not on the idea that he actually walked on water. And keep in mind, whether or not a man named Jesus actually spoke these words is not all that important to me either. It's what he represents that matters. Many of us like the idea of what the myth of Jesus stands for: peace, love, and forgiveness. Fact or fiction, he became one of the world's first superheroes. He was one of the first hippies, and he was basically the original John Lennon. Most would consider me to be an atheist as far as Christianity goes. Even so, I do enjoy reading many of the Bible stories like Noah and the Ark, Exodus, the Book of Daniel, and the story of Christ. In fact, Bible movies like Joseph, the Ten Commandments, Jesus of Nazareth, and the King of Kings are among some of my favorite movies to watch. I enjoy these Bible movies and stories not for their literal value, but for their literary value. They also give us clues about our history. They're entertaining and communicate great moral lessons, which is why they have endured throughout the ages. In the same way, I enjoy watching Superman, even though I know he is just a fictional character. My family and I still celebrate Christmas, which for many families actually has very little to do with celebrating the birth of Christ. I'm almost embarrassed to admit I didn't even realize Christ had anything to do with Christmas until I got much older. People use Christmas as an opportunity to celebrate family and giving, which we can all enjoy. Perhaps December the 25th should be used as a day of celebration for people of any and all religions, as well as no religion. I mean, whether you're a theist or an atheist, or simply agnostic, who wouldn't enjoy listening to music next to a fire, hopefully with loved ones, or eating a fine meal, or giving gifts and opening gifts, especially as a child who counts the days? Now, when it comes to prayer, many may think that pantheists don't have that luxury, that God, as described by pantheists, can't be prayed to. I strongly believe one can pray to the universe, or rather the universal being, and be better off for it. I believe our prayers are at least heard by our own ears and even felt by our own hearts, and therefore are heard and felt by God, since I believe each of us can view him or herself to be at the center of all things, and in essence is the universe, which is God. In other words, our prayers are at least internalized through our own being. How far the effects of praying spreads throughout the universe in a meaningful way to help what we view as our local selves, I don't know. But studies have shown that adrenaline and endorphins can be released during prayer, which can help boost the immune system and help heal the body, or give one the strength to overcome certain obstacles, even in the case of a mere placebo effect, for those who strongly believe in the power of prayer, whether there is any real spiritual communion with a higher being taking place or not. The act of praying also comforts many on a psychological level and can produce a calming effect, which again can lead to physical healing. I've never really been one to pray a lot. However, when I was much younger, I did pray from time to time, especially when I became very ill, as many of us tend to do, even atheists. Even now when I get sick or desperately need help, I find myself praying to some conscious entity, hopefully other than myself, that may be listening in, hoping the universe or some higher being can hear me or know of my suffering in some way and can somehow come to my aid. Even if I'm the only one who hears my prayers, it sure seems to calm and comfort me. So if I am wrong, then it's the one thing I prefer to remain ignorant of. I think the need to pray is deeply rooted in all human beings. What's interesting is evolution here on Earth must have selected those who felt the need to pray, to help ensure our survival and to have the story of life unfold in the way that it does. I'm sure evolution always does this on any planet where advanced humanoid life is allowed to develop. When we pray, maybe it allows us to leap to some quantum reality where our needs are at least partially fulfilled, without violating the rules of cause and effect. Perhaps nature does make necessary adjustments based on our desperate pleads, our spiritual desires, and our respect for the supreme being that is the universe. I do believe our inner voice and our inner desires do play a significant role in fulfilling our destiny. So for all you atheists and those who are agnostic, if you feel the need, go ahead and pray. Who knows, maybe the universe is in some meaningful way listening in and will in some small microscopic way help you. I would like to sum up by explaining that even though I don't believe in the traditional Christian God, I do believe the universe provides a guiding force and that there is an inherent eternal goodness in the world. However, I also believe there is an inherent eternal badness, which I view as a necessary evil. I realize you can't have one without the other. I believe there are consequences to our actions, good and bad, and I believe we should all try to preserve life as long as it doesn't cause a threat. Overall, whether I view myself to be the universe or the universe to be God, or both, I believe in striving towards balance, because I believe balance is the synopsis of the universe, and of God.